the statement would be one. We start from the stick of design enablement role on business needs and value expectations. After that, we translated the role into keyword such as documented business needs and objectives. After that, we map it to COVID APO2, APO5, and IDL4, safety design or focus on value. And after we map it, we formulated it into the final observable statement of V1. Next. Okay, this is the summary of the keywords achieved from each management areas. So for design enablement, we start at clear and documented business needs and objective. After that, the service requirements are agreed with stakeholders. After that, the stakeholder review and approval of the service designs and standard procedure for design, build, and configuration are exist. And testing, readiness checks, and change impact is considered. Risk assessment, sourcing criteria, and probability value are also exist. For delivery assurance, we also have 6 keywords. So the first one are documented and up-to-date operating procedures, incident handling and service restoration targets, root cause analysis for recurring incidents, user support and communication on service requests. The fifth one are KPI and SLA based on performance monitoring. And the last one is operational risk control, continuity, and periodic review or audit. Next. So after the questionnaire items has been developed, we also develop a scoring guide. There is manually to reference from the copy. So the scoring guide consists of 6 score. The score 0, it means not applicable. So the segment are not applicable to the company they assess. The first, and then the score 1 is not implemented. Score 2 is partially implemented. Score 3 is implemented but inconsistent. Score 4 is well implemented and monitored. And score 5 is optimized and continuously improved. So there are 6 scores. And the scoring is based on organizational evidence such as policies, procedures, reports, or service rewards. Thanks. And after we develop the scoring guide, we also develop the maturity level or the methodology interpretation. So for the maturity level, there are 5 levels. The first one is initial with the criteria of average score of 2.8. Level 2 is developing with the criteria of the average score of 1.8 T1 to 2.6. Level 3 is defined with the criteria of average score of 2.61 to 3.4. And level 4 is managed with the criteria of 3.41 to 4.22. Level 5 is optimized with the criteria of 4.21 to 5. So the total rates, how do I get the interval width of the criteria, scoring criteria, maybe maturity criteria. So based on there is 5 level and the total rate is 4 point. Dividing the 4 points into 5 maturity levels gives an equal interval width of 0.8 per level. So the criteria width is 0.8. Next. And then we want to provide the guide on how to use the tool. The first one is equipment service management goals on an organization, assess items relevant to their responsibilities. Then after that, the score is statement using the 0.5 scoring guide or the score based on organizational attributes. After the score is statement, the aggregate applicable score by excluding the score 1 or not applicable because it's means the statement are not relevant to the organization. Then calculate the average score. After they calculate the average score, they convert the average score into a maturity level. But there is a rule that it requires at least 80% statement coverage for the policy. Next. And then for the preliminary review, so the review process. The instrument was reviewed by 4 experts in IT governance and IT service management with expertise around 3 to 5 years or more. And the preliminary expert review used a structured questionnaire. The experts review the relevance, quality, completeness, and practicality using a 4-point Likert scale, where 1 means strong and 4 means from the A to B. For the review components, it's grouped into design enablement and delivery assurance matters area, and also they also review the scoring guide and the material interpretation. And the main revision we got from the review process, B2 was expanded to include regulatory and compliance requirements. B5 was refined to cover change impact assessment and rollback or continuity readiness. And added the 80% minimum coverage goal for the material interpretation. Next. So, the contribution of the study is we translate the service-oriented management domain of CBOF into a structured assessment instrument, and also supports organizational assessment through questionnaire items for goals and facility interpretation, and also for the future medical studies. The limitation of the study itself is still an initial conceptual tool and require broader validation before benchmarking or cross-organizational comparison. Next, for the conclusion, next. So the key findings are we develop a structural assessment tool for selective and structural management. We successfully produced 6 items, scoring rules, and material interpretation, and we refine the tool through preliminary expert review. However, future research should involve more expert in the expert review and also apply the tool in a case study and test reliability and stability, and also expand the tool to other CPO domains. Next. I think that's all from me. English and following.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farrell, for the insight. So, if the participant have a question, please raise your hand and tell your name, and then we can give the question. Okay, so I think I will give you the first question. So the question is about the challenge that you already got in the research. So what is the pressing challenge in this research?
Okay, so thank you for the question, Iqbal. So for the primary challenge, the first one based on the gap finding. So the most used framework for in today's case is COVID, which supports the IT governance of administration, and ITIL, which supports the it's not support, but most heavily in the service management side, and for COVID is for the IT governance side. So there is a gap there because COVID is to focus on the IT governance and less focus on the service management, and ITIL is to focus on the service management and less focus on the IT governance side. That's why this type of models comes to combine the strength of both frameworks.
Okay, thank you for your answer. It's explaining a lot for the challenge. And then, is there any another question from participants? Okay, I guess I will give you the second question. Okay. So the second question is about the how did you make two things here? The first one is how did you make this scoring, right? And then how did you develop the maturity level there?
Okay, so for the thank you again for the question. So for the scoring guide and the maturity interpretation is mostly based on the the COVID 2019 maturity interpretation and probability level interpretation, because the ICADEIS itself doesn't provide a scoring, and the CityGov previous research also doesn't provide a scoring guide or a methodology interpretation guide.
Okay, thank you for the answer for the second question. Okay, basically you use the main reference to develop it, but then there's the reference and explanation you just log it at your research. Okay, anybody wants to give the question? Okay, I guess I will give you also the question. So the question is about how did you map the result into each reference? I mean, you have to basically you have to learn about the reference type and how did you map it one by one and then
Okay. So for the mapping process, the first one is, the process are split into 4 stages. So the first one is we check the rules. So the previous city of research has certain rules for each main process areas, and based on the rules, we got the keywords for each main process areas. As I mentioned before, there's like 6 per process areas. And then the mapping process. So after we get the keywords, we check the keywords in each either IDL and also the complete. Check the keywords on each framework, and then the mapping process is only to validate the statement whether it's really it's really available in both frameworks or not. And then to also the mapping process also helps me I mean helps us to create the final statement for each statement.
as you basically you do the keyword based thing, yeah,
Yeah.
for mapping. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. for your presentation. It's really so much insight. Please give some applause for the presenter. Thank you. You can take it.
Siapa sekarang?
Okay, thank you so much everyone.
Thank you.
Ini
Iya.
di mana?
Ini.
Di mana? Oke. Share. Gue tidur.
Okay, we will have the second presenter here. The next one is Udayana, evaluating an architectural and unified web page platform to enhance the delivery comprehension by Ms. Margareta. You can go to the front of here and do the presentation.
Good everyone, selamat datang di dalam. My name is Dr. and on behalf of my co-authors, Ms. Sabaraka Tarasta, Peter Derry, and Ms. Ikmita Agate, I'm going to be the presenter of our research side today, and the hybrid architecture and game fiber-based classic platform to enhance the domain comprehension. Next, please. Okay, to guide you to our research, I will first start with the introduction and saying the main concept and introduction of Udayana. Next is the method, so explain the R&D and add model development cycle and testing environments. Next is result and discussion, so decided the systematic flowchart, prototype review and prototype evaluation results. And then finally conclusions with feature platform improvements. And next. First, we start with the introduction. The reading crisis. So in primary education, there is a persistent barrier between mechanical decoding or word recognition and deep comprehension or learning synthesis. Looking at the real world context, the loop status in each graph has ICADEIS index scoring at 33.19 reflects systemic skill deficiencies within cluster one regions like Tungan. As you can see from the map, the region is divided by 3 clusters, and as you can see on cluster one skill dimensions, there are 2 indicators, the first one being literacy rate with a score of 88.79%, and the second indicator scoring 6.78%. containing average duration of school. So these indicators, when being compared to clusters 2 or cluster 3, is being the lowest out of the two clusters. And this is because of traditional method weakness of imposing a uniform pacing, which forces students into a one-size-fits-all experience, causing rapid cognitive overload and relentless engagement. Next. The Boolean intervention. So Boolean transform passive self-consumption into gamified narrative journeys utilizing Indonesian folklore. The innovation framework for this is integration of gamification using XP and real-time progress tracking to foster independent and self-monitored study. Our pedagogical objective is using a hybrid architecture containing static, linear, and scaffolded interactive class to move beyond uniform pacing to stimulate higher orbiting skills and sustain motivation. Next. So for our methods. So for our development framework, we use research and development methodology structured through the systematic added modules to merge empirical literacy research with a real-world product engineering. Our teaching setup is using a quasi-experimental setup with an internal ablation framework to separate and compare the literacy impact of the interactive scaffold against the side baseline. And for evaluation and sampling, we use 15 fourth grade participants from an elementary school in Tulung Agung utilizing remote moderated disability testing. So this is our early phase explanation. So in the analysis phase, we diagnose regional literacy deficiencies in Tulung Agung to map specific visual and cognitive learning requirements. Next, in design and development, we engineered a platform for integrated and gamified and dual factor learning mechanism. In implementation, we executed an internal comparative evaluation framework by deploying both the static baseline and interactive scaffolded path. And finally, for evaluation, we measured overall system feasibility via use questionnaire and empirical confidence growth via the NV index. Okay, next. Okay, so for result and discussion. Okay, so first is the system modification of Vienna. Starting off with the user selecting an item, and then it will trigger the pizza stage, and the user will answer some comprehension questions about the folklore. Next, it will calculate the pizza score, and then next is the folklore story stage. And in this stage, the system will evaluate if the island have an architecture type of linear or scaffolded path. If it's a linear, it will load static story, which is a digitalized folklore, and it will calculate an XP for every page. Then for the scaffolded, it will load an interactive story, which has story with visuals and also interactive things for activities like quizzes or drag and drops. And it will also provide immediate feedback and calculate XP based on activity status, SSS. And then finally, it will trigger the process, and then the user will answer 10 comprehensive questions, the same questions as in the process, and then it will calculate the process, and it will save it to the database. Next. Okay, so this is the video number site overview. First, we have home page along with the item selection, and then for if it's a linear path, it will show this static reading. So it is basically a static story of the digitalized text of the folklore. And if it is interactive path, it will show the story with visuals along with the mid-story quiz. And then both of these will measure the XP along with the sign counts. And then there's the dashboard. For this is an acting as a monitoring portal for the students to see their own user statistics and also their score history. Next. Okay, first the result is system usability. So we are evaluating it using use questionnaire, and we evaluated the aspects of usefulness, ease of use, ease of learning, and satisfaction. As you can see, the usability classification is all very feasible, with the ease of learning scoring the most with 93.3%. And the Boolean prototype achieving the overall usability percentage of approximately 90.4%, which marks the very least. And there is also a qualitative feature inside saying there is a high engagement, but highlighted a need for optimized topographic scaling and landscape line spacing inside the modules to reduce cognitive strain. Next is pedagogical effectiveness evaluated using an ambient index. So as you can see, linear path average ambient index for the 54.4% and categorizing it for the ending group is medium. And the learning effectiveness for this category is less effective. While scaffolded path scored an average ending index of 73.3%, and for its category of ending growth, it is high, and for the category of learning effectiveness, it is quite effective. So it is more effective rather than the static linear path. Okay, next. So in conclusion, next. The system flexibility and usability of the Lunar prototype successfully transformed passive reading into an active scaffolded instructional cycle, achieving a 92.4% usability score, coming as very visible for its interactiveness and layout. And for empirical proof of literacy growth, the interactive scaffolded path accelerated the comprehension to a 78.3% growth index compared to the static path 54.4% baseline, proving that the learning gains stem from an active pedagogical design rather than a temporary digital novelty effects. And then for our feature iteration planning, first we plan to visual optimization of the static path by implementing photographic and line spacing scalings based on the teacher feedback inputs. Next is content expansion. So we plan to develop linearity modules for Kalimantan, Bali, Maluku, and Nusa Tenggara to complete the cultural database. And then finally, we plan to engineer a backend tracking portal specifically for teachers and parents to trigger targeted literacy interventions. Next. And that is it for my presentation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. It is very insightful presentation and also so many that I cannot get research. Okay, for participants, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the first question. So the first question is about how did you decide the dashboard design? Because it has the user statistic and also the historic way the component shows there.
So in analysis phase, we asked the head of the school first, what would the students like to see and what would the stakeholders, meaning also the teachers and parents would like to see. And based on that, teachers usually say that they want to see their own score, and also maybe since this is still initial prototype, we also want the teachers and parents to see what are the averages for the pre-test and then post-test.
I see the is of the user input, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, for the second question, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the second question. Okay, the second question is about the questionnaire that you are using the USP, like questionnaire. Would you like to explain the demographic of the participants? Yeah, for me, person, and then how is the demographic separation for each group, for example?
So for the testing of this questionnaire, first, as I said before, we use our remote usability testing. So the children or the students are doing the testing at home along with the monitoring of parents. And we gave them this questionnaire containing 30 questions on the 4 aspects. So the usefulness, the ease of use, ease of learning, and then satisfaction. And after that, after the testing of the they will answer the questionnaires for 5 later questions. So it is we're going from strongly disagree to strongly. So that is how we do it. And for the participants, we only use 15 4th grade elementary students due to it still being of initial prototype.
So 15 participants, students for free. So it's all from the same school. Thank you for the explanation. And then do you have any third question? Anyone? Okay, I will give you the last question here. Okay, the last question is about the feedbacks after the initial development. So in the in the end of your presentation, you have the future works there. So it also says that you have feedbacks from teachers, mainly about the graphics, visual, and then graphic visual, and then like and basing. So is there any other feedbacks about the user reflection or user experience there from the teachers or the students besides the two?
The major part is that I think there is not on the questionnaire but on externally saying that maybe the question should be more relatable to the students. It is relatable, but I think the initial text is too difficult for the students to understand.
Thank you so much, that's all I got about the teacher and also the that's all we can. Thank you. We will move to the next presenter, this week.
Ada yang cepet. Sebentar sini. Bentar. Mbak, jangan tiar.
Okay, for the next presenter will be Peggy Manuela, user experience analysis of CRS and computer app using aspect based classification. The time is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Manuela from the Controller from the Service of Malaysia. And this session was only to present our works on user experience analysis of the similar app using aspect based classification. This work was conducted with my co-authors, Asiama, Ricky, and so, to start, let's get to know what is service application. So, service is a reverse for abstract mind computer law at the 2023. And this application is aimed to use the computers, especially in the metropolitan areas, in performing like the perceptions, pop up their motor part, and getting the information of the train schedule in the nearby stations. And next. So, object confidence is this. So, the community line services is estimated to be reaching for over 150,000 computer users in Indonesia daily. Next, the application itself is downloaded for over $500,000 on Google Play Store. However, despite its significance, the application received a very low rating in the Google Play Store at the time of data collection. Furthermore, we also found some inconsistencies between the given star rating by users and the actual wiki content. So this calls for the need to further analyze the sentiment analysis. So we can recommend the UX recommendation for the data computer to improve this application. This becomes particularly important because the disruption in UX aspects may also disrupt the computer users' daily activities. Next. Okay, next. While prior studies have analyzed the topic sentiments on transportation domain, there are still very little to no research focuses specifically on the sex application. Next. And furthermore, there has been not much of the advice that have grounded on the UX aspects, like distinguishing between the magnetic effects and the pragmatic effects. Okay, next. These are some of the various analysis studies. Okay, we can go next. Okay, next. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Okay. So the contribution of the study is to have apply the UX aspects to analyze the user reviews specifically on the CX application. And we also like to explore the integration as the alternative of the already commonly used method for technical classification. Yes. So moving on to our methods. Yeah, we follow a 2CM framework starting from understanding the business, understanding the data, and prepare data itself. So we perform the scraping from the Google Play Store on the sense reviews, and we filter the application, the reviews based on the latest version available at the time of the collection at February 2025. This is done to ensure that the reviews being analyzed will remain current and relevant. And for this study, we only focus on actual review content. Okay, next. Yeah. The filter level, the filter data is then labeled according to the US aspects and identified in the literature review priority. So we have four aspects here: feature, bug, preferred UX, and then UX. And each of these aspects is then grouped into the positive quality and negative quality. For example, we have feature fulfillment that talks about the access features have convenience, but on the other side, we also have feature gap that talks about this application lists like accepted features. And we also have bug-free, bug complaint, and then pragmatic UX that talks about this application is easy and practical to use. But on the other hand, we also have pragmatic difficult label that talks about this is hard to use orientation. And lastly, we also have the measurement that talks about the application platform, user interface. And on the contrary, we have the discussion talks about the setup interface. Thanks. So this whole learning process was done by the 3 researchers involved in this study. And we also measured the flex kappa to measure the inter-another agreement between the other channels, and most of them receive almost perfect agreement. And lastly, to resolve a remaining difference between the labeling, we conducted a consensus discussion and final label. So this is the example of the single label. So you can see that for each label, we mark it as 1 if it presents in here and 0 otherwise. And note that a single review may be assigned to multiple labels as it may just more than once. Okay. And then this whole level results then further analyzed by making the level distribution and getting the top diagrams the most common reviews and conducting direct observation of it. Furthermore, to promote scalable approach for classifying feature reviews, we also experimented some traditional machine learning models as SVM that based on logistic regression. And some of the important scenarios that we experimented on was stemming, software removal, and regional normalization. As for the evolution metrics, we use accuracy and responsibility. Okay, moving on to the result discussion. So this is the distribution of reviews. So we have 68 reviews containing at least 1 positive labels and 156 reviews containing at least 1 negative label. So as expected, that the goals of these surveillance were dominantly by the negative reviews, and it's actually in line with the given star rating on the global store. Yes. Delving further, this is the distribution of the positive and negative reviews across the 4 aspects that I mentioned earlier. And we can see that the most significant aspect are the bug and the pragmatic UX, especially on the negative one, this is marked by the red chart. So it shows that bugs on the excellent features are more crucial to the access features rather than the expectation of the new feature. And moreover, the practical use of the application is a key concern for the CFS features rather than the hybrid user experience. And next, we also did some visualization on the top diagrams as the most common reviews. Next, so most of these issues are talking about altogether different flavor, are talking about small application, and very balance and top ups, and the different schedules differences between what's happening in the and the application itself. And next. So these issues are actually similar with the ones identified in the previous studies about higher apps application before this rebranding the CSS. So these studies calls for the guide computer to prioritize resolving these issues first. For example, for application developer to focus on optimizing the performance, and then to resolve the bugs occurring during the app launch and registration, and to also ensure accurate and real-time status of the card after the purpose, and also the various features with the on the code and application. But some of these issues may also call for cross-functional role from the various stakeholders in guide computers, like us in for the infrastructure and also for the operation team. Yes. Okay, and the lowest level approach for classifying feature reviews also experimented some of these machine learning models, right? So we choose the stemming and normalization of the scenarios. Okay. Yeah, this is the result for the SPM. Next. This is for like base, and lastly, next, this is for the basic regression. So as you can see, the highest Apple scores were observed for the Bakalpa and Mathematics levels. Okay, next. This might be due to the linguistic consistency in how the user of the C access expresses this kind of issues. Next. These some of the examples of the phrases they use, like using direct and technical problem-oriented program when they're talking about Bakalpa and Mathematics. Okay, another insight is that the linguistic version showed very performance indicated on top of the levels. But note that the differences in some similarities may have been due to the relatively small data set and highly developed data set that cause the underwriters to having hard in detect the meaningful differences. Okay, next. So in conclusion, most reviews in access in the medical seminar, especially on buffer point and pragmatic difficulty, it shows that the curriculum should prioritize technical reliability and practical functionality over than more feature and academic aspects. Next, as for the machine learning experiments, show that the opposite version have very acceptable items, where it cites account scores were achieved in buffer and pragmatic difficulty. But of course, it has little improvements such as to excellent impact on setting to refine processing techniques and to explore other techniques. And one of the techniques is that to enrich the service for on social media to improve the statistical power and overall things. So that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Bimon. Please give a question if you have any question for participants. Okay, I guess I will give you the question. So the first one is about the annotating. Yeah, previously you said that the whole data is annotated by 3 is a third slide. Could you please explain why 3? And then, I mean, is it about the all even numbers, or it should be the best practice is 3 or at least explain what it is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so with all numbers of the people we share, like for example, we have differences between recurve A and recurve B, and then we can see the openness of the recurve C, right? So it makes it easier to do the consensus because we have the odd numbers of the recurves. And another reason is that personally we when we did the leveling, we have the 3 statistics involved in the study, so that's why the 3 of us do the leveling together. I mean, independently, but then at the end, we do the consensus to resolve differences.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation. So basically, it's about the all the different number to make it easier to make the consensus. So, for participants, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Okay, I will do the same question also. And then, the second question is now about the notation. So, how long did your team do the notating manually? So it needs to be manually, like from 3 or something. That's how did you how long did you do that? And then, what is the main difficulty in this process?
Around 2 weeks. The main difficulty is as long as I noted earlier, we have some inconsistencies given the given star rating on the Google Play Store and the actual content. So it's not as easy as we can like filter the whole reviews based on, for example, if 5 stars, then it's all positive, right? Because sometimes we found that maybe some of the reviews saying, oh, this is application we have to use, but they give like a 5-star rating. So yeah, that's why we need to really use more about that.
See, so the consistency is the main problem there. Okay, for participant, if you have the third question, you can raise your hand. Okay, I will give the last question. So, it is that the main problem is the bug and also the pragmatic. So,
Stop here.
is it still in your scope or not about the funding? What is the difficulty, pragmatic difficulty with the app on if yes, maybe it can stable or maybe let's resolve this area.
Sure. Actually, when we perform background analysis, right, we also see what is the most common things being mentioned, right? So about the bugs, they usually mention things like the application is not built when they are launching the application, or even when they want to do the registration, the application is not or makes it for activity. So those are some of the things that needs to be noted by the person.
So yeah, basically, it's from the review itself, about not from the I guess say that give the hands on basically what they could be so was it the difficulty and all from the review and okay. I think that all the question section Q&A session I think you can handle it. Thank you so much Ismail. You can give applause.
Nih, Cok. Nih. Nah,
Okay, we will have the next presenter, Miss Maila Fatima, with the data design and usability validation for a blue taxonomy based cultural literacy quiz and monitoring dashboard for elementary school time. You can start the presentation now.
Yes, sir. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maila Fatima, and I'm representing my co-author, Mrs. Sabara and Ms. Nekta. So here together we conducted this study of banana design usability validation of Bloom's taxonomy-based cultural interest quiz and monitoring the sport for this next. So for this presentation, will make section to the board. The first is introduction and user concept. The second is the methodology and development process. The third is problem design and survey findings. And finally, discussion, conclusion, and future roadmap for the study. Next. So let us begin with the introduction. So to begin, cultural interest remains fundamental competency in religion and religion. However, its normalization still remains uneven across regions. Based on reading literacy activity index in Java, the language is categorized in cluster 1, indicating relatively lower literacy skill indicators compared to other clusters. And at the national level, Indonesia's reading performance also remains relatively low. So this condition indicates that students may still face challenges in developing higher order reading skills required for deeper cultural learning. Next. This leads to our research gap. So currently, the first platform mainly emphasizes content delivery over structured cognitive progressions, as shown on the right. Existing solution lack of cultural inspiration, arts or room space scaffolding, and collaborative monitoring. So to address this gap, we adopted Banana. Banana integrates cultural interest content, progressive rule-based cognitive, gamified learning, and monitoring the sport for teachers' environments. Next. To develop Banana, we adopted design development research or DDR consisting of 3 phases. Phase 1 focused on needs analysis, preliminary reviews, synthesis, and user scenario construction. Phase 2, we transform those findings into platform design and front-end development. Finally, phase 3, we evaluate stakeholder usability through remote pilot testing using USA questionnaire. Next. And before developing Banana, we also conducted needs analysis through semi-structured interview with head of school management at Mandalama. So from this interview, we indicates needs for 3 user groups: student, teachers, and parents. So student required more individual learning approaches to support higher order development. Teacher needed better visibility into student progress and more monitoring mechanism, while parents limited visibility into their own child learning progress and more rely on the manual reporting from school. So these insights became a basis for developing the next. Now we'll briefly walk through the outcome design. So the student journey begins with an interactive map consisting of 8 Indonesian regional islands. So students are allowed to explore cultural content. Next. Through 3 days, there is traditional houses, traditional food, and traditional dances and musical instruments. And before starting each level, students receive short cultural narrative to provide learning context. Next. Each topic consists of 3 progressive levels based on the taxonomy, and this screen here shows the example of each level. So the first one focus on understanding information through multiple choice and page selection activities. Level 2 introduce more active activities such as drag and drop and matching to support deeper thinking and connect to other concepts. And level 3, it encourages students to justify the answer through reasoning based series like analytic learning. Next. And to support the motivation and engagement, data consists of 2 gamification mechanisms. The first one is the XP system, and the second mechanism is the part system. Next. And all the students' interaction are synchronized into collaborative monitoring dashboard. So teacher has 2 levels of monitoring. The first one is statistical level, and the second one is the student diagnostic. Next. Here is the individual diagnostic that uses the same interface available to parents. So with this approach, I think Brenda can contribute to collaborative between school and home. Next. Following development, next we conducted usability validation through remote plot testing using USA questionnaire. The evaluation focused on the monitoring dashboard, involved teachers and parents. So the results show overall high scores across 4 dimensions with usefulness at 90.2%, ease of use at 88%, ease of learning at 91%, and satisfaction at 90.4%. So all 4 dimensions were categorized very visible, indicating positive stakeholder acceptance. Next. So participants also found that the dashboard was easy to use and helpful for monitor student progress. Also, it's already recorded the high score, suggesting that the user could use the system with a little guidance. Next. So, in conclusion, Guyana shows the potential of using Bloom taxonomy, notification, and collaborative monitoring dashboard to support cultural literacy learning in elementary schools. However, this study remains limited to front-end development and early stage of school validation. So the future work includes on-site data collection, post-tech integration, and expanding the platform to more additional programs. Next. So here are the references used for this study. Next. So I think that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm Iqbal. So if any participant would like to give a question, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the question. So the first one is about the unification. Why did you choose the explicit slot? Do you have any reference for that? Would you like to explain? And also, I think you have another application and XP and power system. Yeah, can you explain?
So actually, the application was designed to just support the progress level of each level. So yeah, I think it just not for the actual learning improvement, but just to encourage students to learn more by giving them support.
I see. So you would like to say that it is about the way to make it look like a game. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for the answer. Any participant will give the next question? Okay, we'll give you the second question. It's about the demographic of you said that you have question, and I think it is from first persons. So including to parents and even teachers. Would you like to explain the demographic? I mean, the age and then maybe you have another data about the demographic itself.
So this evaluation, I think it's not to make a competition for all schools, first of all. So we just gathering the data from one school, and we have 3 teachers and two parents. Probably the age and 20 to 30, and then both of them using some questionnaire, which is USA questionnaire, and yeah, it is more measuring about usability dimension, which is usefulness, ease of use, ease of learning, satisfaction.
Okay, so basically, you have the data of the age and it's around of the age of the participant. Thank you for the answer. So, for participant, if you have any question, you can raise your hand. Okay, we'll give the last question, I guess. So, last question is about the challenge of this research group. Would you like to explain the challenge, the primary challenge of this research?
I think the main challenge was to translate the Bloom taxonomy for class survival into the actual quiz learning progress, and to maintain that the quiz student has an engagement with the students.
Basically, you need to translate something because the taxonomy to your goals. I think that's all for your presentation and Q&A section. Thank you so much. You can have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
We'll just do the last.
Ini.
Okay, we will have the next presenter. This will be MBRP. Which learning analytics for inclusive learning, applications and governance. You can That's your presentation. You may start now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Just a
Yeah, with our energy to still here in the second for the last. So actually, I joined with the first session. It's yeah, there's a lot of passion, a lot of interaction, but after second session, suddenly silent. But it's okay. Maybe our capacity of thinking is reducing. So today I'm going to present my study about the analytics for inclusive learning, AI application and governance gaps. This study is our producer, Mr. Mowato, Pujayu also is and I'm from Universitas Islam. And next. This research will presented in four part, development method, discussion and operation. Next. Before the introduction, I will talk about this section. The background about for this research is we are talking about learning on inclusive student. So in learning inclusive, we aim to provide equal learning for all learner, including students with learning disability and diverse needs. So we found that AI driven learning analytics support learner for monitoring, prediction, personalized learning, and adaptive learning in inclusive learning environment. But our preliminary finding that current research emphasize technical performance like prediction, personalization, and adaptive learning, while governance issues such as accessibility, ethics, privacy, and policy alignment remain unsufficiently addressed. Based on that situation, we are trying to examine recent terms, AI application, and government gaps in inclusive learning, and propose a preliminary governance framework through bibliometric SLL approach. Based the situation, we make three research questions. For the research question one, we are talking about trends in learning analytics for inclusive learning. And then for the AI research question two, AI application, learning analytics in educational setting. And research question three is governance gap exists in the current literature and how ethics, privacy, and policy regulation address. Next. Okay, for this study, we are using method for bibliometric and systematic data collection. For data collection, we are gathering from database Scopus, single database Scopus, and for bibliometric, we are using data from 2019 until 2026, and its result for 925 documents, and we use that data and analyzing using bibliometric under R is BiblioShiny and also Postpure. And then we continue collect data for systematic data review. We are also using database from Scopus. We are with from 281 document, and then we screening using Ryan and using Ryan based and is using include and exclude criteria. Then also protocol prisma, and we synthesize the systematic review for final 422 document. So the data extraction synthesis and using to answer research question from FT1 until FT3. Next. Okay, for result and discussion. FT1 research in trend in learning analytics for linguistic learning, we found that from bibliometric, we found that there's collaborative pattern that the document increase the research increased from 2019 to 2026 is at the peak on year 2025. And the collaborative pattern, we also found that the authors for document is 25.1% because there's collaborative this collaborative international partnership. So this indicate the growing global research effort for this research. So the this interest and participation indicate that learning analytic for inclusive learning has become active and well connected in this area. So after we are using video study, we also found the keyword analysis. Next slide. The keyword in post keyword we next. Okay. We found the occurrence analysis that the document research team is dominated by learning analytics and learning, indicating that this concept form the core foundation of the research field. The AI related topics, strong connection from machine learning, artificial intelligence, educational data mining, and learning management system. That this indicate the growing integration of AI technology into learning analytic research. So it's shifting from traditional learning analytics into AI driven analytics. For the educational application, the literature highlight learner monitoring, performance prediction, adaptive learning, recommendation system, and personalized learning support. Next. For research question 2, the AI application in inclusive learning, we found that there is 5 category that focus application for AI driven learning analytics. It's used to prediction and machine learning analytics. So machine learning techniques primarily employed for predictive modeling and learner performance analysis. Using AI driven learning, we can use predictive learning for personalized learning. Then dashboard based analytics focus on monitoring and visualization. So using dashboard based analytics, dashboard support monitoring, visualization, and data informed educational decision making. For personalization, for the third category, personalization and intervention, we focus on recommendation and adaptive learning. Adaptive learning approach facilitate personalized learning experience like for students who special needs, they cannot use similar system with normal student. So we use AI application to personalize learning. Then inclusive learning analytics set out study emphasize accessibility and support for learner with special educational needs. So like for students with hearing disability or with they need like text to speech tools, something like that. So the inclusive learning analytics emphasize accessibility to support learners with special education. So a few theoretical framework and models also mentioned in the 22 literature synthesis about conceptual framework studies, but still preliminary. And next, for the third governance gap in analytics, we found 5 governance gap. There is accessibility, information, privacy, ethical, policy, regulation, and this stakeholder. So this is identified governance gap and demonstrate that the successful implementation of AI-driven analytics requires not only technological excellence but also accessibility support, ethical safeguard, data governance, mechanism policy, alignment and stakeholder collaboration. Next. Okay. After three research questions, we found that governance framework need to develop but preliminary governance framework for air driver analytics. So the proposed proposition is using this literature not validated because we are using the same synthesized literature. Okay, thank you. For the time. Also, still this conclusion. Okay, for the conclusion, we found that AI driven learning analytics is increasingly applied to support prediction, monitoring, observation, and decision learning. And governance framework, five governance framework were identified, forming the basis for a preliminary governance framework for responsible implementation. So for the future work should focus on extrapolation and empirical evaluation of the proposed governance framework in education sector. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. So for participants, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the question. So the first one is about the challenge of this question. I mean, you get so many papers, right? And then you have to filter with keywords and so on. Would you like to explain the main challenge in this research?
Well, actually, for geometric and systematic methodology, the challenge is reading the abstract for screening, because sometimes even we are already defined for the include and exclude keyword, but still sometimes as a human, especially if we are work alone. But actually for the systematic methodology and bibliometric should be linked by two person or in a group. So there's a control. So if I'm making a mistake, the other researcher will found about it.
I see. So basically, it's about you need more than one, but not only you
Yeah.
to do this one. So basically, you can have the check and balance. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for the answer. If anyone have further question for the second question, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the second question. Okay, so the second question is about you are finding the just keyword one under three times the grouping keyword and keyword and under three. So would you like to explain more about the process? I mean, how did you do it one by one and so on?
For everyone, it's analyzed in bibliometric. So bibliometric is we can find about trend, about the collaboration between the authorship. It's provided in the process for bibliometric. For the FP2 and FP3, it's from synthesized paper, the 22 paper. So we are talking about the AI-driven learning analytics. It's mentioned in those 22 papers, and also about governance gaps founding in the 22 papers.
Thank you so much for the explanation. So the third question, you can question and also you can please say your name and then give your question.
About policy and stakeholders collaboration. So sorry, but policy alignment and the stakeholder collaboration. Okay. So what is the governance gaps? Can you share one more? Okay, about stakeholder collaboration, like policy alignment. Okay. But first about policy alignment. We are on those papers, they are talking about that there is still no integration between AI-driven learning analytics with governance, like and also with uh, sorry, governance, and also like between the output from AI, like the learning, it's not still not integrated, and the implementation is there's no policy about it from authority like dinas pendidikan and also from the school. So there's they are running by under their own rules. There's no policy about that from the above. Like community kind of rules. Is it like academic kind of rules? Not academic integrity, but the implementation is running and not under supervised from the top authority. So that's why cannot use strategy for all in Indonesia. That's why still there's no policy for that. And also about the stakeholder or the stakeholder, their parents need to know about their children improvement, about how they study, especially for the disabled learning student. They need to know is their student their children can increase their understanding about one subject, because parents cannot control that through system. They don't know about it. So the stakeholder need to implement. There's a report from school can lead by parents, and also the student by themselves know that the learning analytic output is meet their requirement, because sometimes the achievement with one system, but the achievement between normal student and disabled student is different. So there's need transparency about that, the ethical and also the privacy and transparency. So that's why stakeholders need to have access to the learning analytics driven by us. So the stakeholders, is the education, is it because the higher education? Also, also from Dignas can receive like learning analytics for how for the student at rural area, and also at the urban area. Is the student needs to maybe like accessibility. Maybe they need with a higher technology for the text to speech. But maybe for the rural area, it's not like that, not need the technology. So based on the driven learning analytics, the top authority will with that and make a decision based on the one. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Feby, for the question. And I think that will conclude our you can thank you so much. You can applause. Okay, we will have our next presenter. So our next presenter is again with discovering later behavioral learning profiles with our system education using cadence clustering. The time is yours.
Thank you for good afternoon. before this opportunity to present our research on discovering random behavioral learning profiles in LSM assisted education using techniques sustainable. My name is Dina Anwar, and they are my research group. Okay, next. Okay, skills. LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini are now used by students for almost every academic task. And the literature widely documents their functional benefits, such as better outcomes, faster writing, and broader access to knowledge. But what has really been studied is how students actually interact with these tools. Many studies treat students as a homogeneous group, when in reality their readiness, reflection, and reliance on AI vary greatly. The main gap of this research is there is still no structure, theory-based approach to identifying the hidden behavioral profiles that reflect the diversity of student interactions with AI. Thanks. The objective of our research to uncover the hidden behavioral profiles of students when interacting with LLMs through a theory-guided clustering approach, shifting the focus from what LLM generates to how students actually engage with it. There are three main contributions. First, shifting the focus from learning outcomes of learning behavior, and the second reveals counterintuitive coexistence of high perceived AI support and AI capability, and the third identifies random learner archetypes to inform differentiated teaching. Okay, next. Next. We operationalize student LLM interaction for behavioral constructs drawn from theory, usage intensity, reflective learning, dependency, and AI learning support. The first two, usage intensity and reflective learning, usage intensity and dependency primarily describe observed behaviors, and the other two, reflective learning and AI learning support, address cognitive and evaluative aspects. Together, they provide a comprehensive picture ranging from functional usage to deeper cognitive engagement. Next. Our data comes from 121 first-year students, only a single study program in one university in Indonesia. We intentionally kept the sample homogeneous so there are any differences that emerge actually into how they interact with AI rather than institutional differences. Before grouping the data, we first clean the data, since there were Likert scale questions and percentages with different numerical rates. We standardize the scale first and then combine them into 4 construct scores per students. Next, we run k-means. Still in slide. And the next step,
we run k-means to identify natural clusters with the number of clusters determined using the elbow method. And we assess the quality of the result using the silhouette score. To visualize the result and perform in statistical validation, we use PCA and one-way alpha. Okay, next slide. Next slide. We tried several possible numbers of clusters, and 3 clusters turned out to be the best fit. Adding more clusters didn't help much. The level of dispersion is moderate, which is to be expected since human behavior rarely fits nearly into categories. Many people fall somewhere in between. You can see in this table for usage intensity in the first column. Cluster 0 is the highest. Cluster 0 is the highest compared to the 2. Cluster 0 uses LLM most intensively. And then for reflective learning in the second column, cluster 1 is the highest. Cluster 0 is the lowest. Cluster 1 is the most reflective. Cluster 0 is the least reflective. And then the second column, dependency, cluster 2 stands out. Cluster 1 is the lowest, and cluster 2 is the most dependent. Cluster 1 is the most independent. AI learning support, the last column. Cluster 1 and cluster 2 are nearly equally high, while cluster 0 is far below. Cluster 0 feels the least supported, and cluster 1 and 2 both feel very supported. Next slide. After identifying these 3 groups, we needed to confirm that the differences were not due to chance. Much like comparing 3 schools' classes and ensuring that the difference in height are real, not random. We tested all 4 constructs and all were found to differ significantly across groups. The most obvious difference was in dependency. Let's see, about 76, followed by AI learning support and reflective learning. You see, usage intensity is the weakest, but still significant. So the conclusion, the key insight, reflective behavior and dependency are not mutually exclusive. In cluster 2, high perceived AI support coexists with the highest dependency. This is a sign of cognitive overloading. So the implication, useful AI does not automatically translate into learning autonomy. Its profile calls for a different strategy, scaffolding for task-oriented users, mechanics practice for AI-dependent learners, and enrichment for reflective learners. This is the last slide. Okay. Our conclusion, task-oriented users, reflective AI-assisted learners, and AI-dependent reflective learners emerge even within a homogeneous student population. And the second dependency is the strongest discriminator among profiles, and high perceived AI support can coexist with high dependency, challenging the assumption that useful AI yields autonomous learning. So our future research, or this is our challenge, extended to larger maybe example, which we can add more than one study program and different university or and the number of the respondent. And then more diverse population run from longitudinal studies because it's our research only for 1 year short time. Maybe we can make more longer time. And link profiles to concrete learning outcomes and tailor pedagogical intervention. That's all from our research. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the explanation. So, for participants, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, I will give you the first question. So, would you like to explain about the future research that could be the next step? It's about the more diverse solution. Can you give how could it be more diverse in this case?
Because our current research only for the respondent come from one state program and one university, and we think that if we add more different kind of study program or different university, we get more some more insight. Because our results show that the from the silhouette score, it's very blur border between group. So if we make it more very respondent with various respondent, we hope that the border will be more clearly.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation. For the second question, anyone can give question, please raise your hand. Okay, we'll give you the second question here. The next one is about the reader research, because you mentioned that it would be more longitudinal studies, right? Would you like to explain more about that?
Or maybe our current research only for one short time and one for one time. Maybe if we can make longitudinal research, then make big tests and post tests. We can, for example, we give the intervention for the respondents before they before for the first stage of the research, and then we give the intervention, and then we test again in the end of the research. Yeah, it needs more longer time.
See, so basically you mentioned that more statistics, overall statistics, it could be one occurrence and the research room.
Yes.
For the Croatia and then for the understanding. So
Yes.
thank you so much for the explanation. And then for the third question, anyone from the participant want to give question, you can raise your hand. Okay, we'll give you the last question then. So the last question is about the challenge. So would you like to explain the primary challenge in this research? The primary challenge in this research.
The number of respondents. We will add the number of respondents and more study programs and degrees.
Okay, so it's about numbers inside research effort. It could be improved in this
Maybe we can try another method besides the key units that we use now. We will try to use another method to mastering.
Okay, so the difficulty was finding the participating.
Yes,
Thank you so much for the Q&A session and also the presentation. So I think that all you can have your seat. Please give the applause. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for all participants in this session. So in the end of session, we will have our photo session. Is ready?
Semua di sana.
Okay, so please stand in front of this screen. Okay, always stand in front of the screen. Okay, please stand in front of this screen. Would you like to explain how we can have the arrangement? Okay, well,
Maybe the female in front of.
okay. Is it all clear? Okay.
And 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Any pose? Okay. 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, thank you so much for all participants and also for committee. Okay, to conclude, we have so many insightful presentation from all participants from all presenters today. So thank you so much for the participation in this session. So we can conclude that we already done this session. You can leave this room, and then if you want to still have discussions with the another participant, you can do after this. So I can conclude that's all for this session. Thank you so much for the participation. Okay. Good afternoon and see you. Thank you everyone.
Udah? Iya, udah. Alhamdulillah.
Gimana experience?
Iya tadi. Tadi tuh nggak delay Pak. Jadi tuh kan dia nggak mau next. Tapi mesti lanjut, tapi langsung gitu. Kan yang gue lanjut. Nanti dia sempet next. Terus dia ngomong kan, jadi gue kira dia nggak next lagi, gue dimin. Jadi dia ngomong next.
Iya.
Keluar, gue penasaran deh. Rin, kok nggak bisa sih Rin di gue? Masa nggak kedetek di gue?
Bentar ini yang mana jauhin?
Lu udah cobain dulu.
Oh, dulu aja aku.
Lu cobain dulu.
Oke.
Makan lagi. Dari aku kan makanan kita.
Oke, next.
Gak bisa. Kenapa ya?
Ya kamu itu di aneh-aneh tapi
Menfigurasi nanti itu gak bisa. Hah? Karena mau yang dok, aku baru tak artikan.
Bro terlalu minim kerjaan itu sampai ngotak lagi. Masih kerekam. Aduh, masuk YouTube dong.